Welcome to the seventh night. Can you believe it? The seventh night of Hanukkah. We are here joined today with the JCC of Rockland, the JCC of Central Jersey, and our host program tonight, the Wayne YMCA. And all Jewish programs are funded by the Jewish Federation of Northern New Jersey out in Wayne. So Dustin, I'm going to hand it over to you, and welcome to everyone. We're so glad you're here to join us at the JCC of Northern New Jersey and our Hanukkah celebration. Here you go, Dustin.
I would also like to say a special thank you to our amazing musical performer and artist, Kat Smith, who will be doing some music throughout the evening. And as you can see, I have my little child on the right side, so she's promised as long as I give her chocolate that she will try and be good. So we'll see how well that goes. But it's so great to be here. And what the itinerary for tonight is that we're going to have Kat do O Hanukkah, which I'm sure many of you are very familiar with. We're going to play a short video about the story of Hanukkah. We're going to do a short candle lighting, talk a little bit about Hanukkah, have Kat do a Premiere Plus version of her newest song about Judaism, which is a really nice song. And then we'll do a closer and finish up with the dreidel song. So I think it should be a nice evening. So without further ado, and while my child is deeping for more chocolate, I would like to introduce the amazing musician artist, Kat Smith. Kat, would you like to lead us in O Hanukkah?
Sure. I'm going to include the rogue lyrics that we found that I remember from first grade. Everyone please sing along. The lyrics in the middle that you probably never heard of because I couldn't find them in the internet are lyrics that I learned when I sang this song in first grade at St. Anne's, which was the school that I went to. If that sounds weird for a Jewish song, it was. This was an early 70s attempt at diversity on their part, and I'm going to include them because I remember them when I can't remember where I left my keys half the time. So they have to be good for something. Anyway. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather around the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are all burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. 'Tis the week of Hanukkah with good cheer is bringing. This holiday we celebrate with dancing and singing. Gather round together, the hora will do. Then join in the song that our forefathers knew. But hush now and come now. The candles we light one by one. And then tell the story of God and his glory and how precious freedom was won. Then tell the story of God and his glory and how precious freedom was won. Now back to the lyrics that you know. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Dreidels to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago.
Thank you very much, Kat. A beautiful rendition. So at this point, while I'm sure all of you are very familiar with the story of Hanukkah, I am going to play just a very short video kind of going over it because I do think it's important this time of year to tell the story. So
on Hanukkah, we light the menorah or Chanukiah for 8 nights, adding another flame each night. But what's the story behind this beloved holiday? Well, once upon a time, more than 2,200 years ago, the Jews lived in the Holy Land, where they worked the land, studied Torah, and worshiped God in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. But all was not well. Like much of the known world, Jerusalem was under Greek rule, and Hellenism, Greek culture, Greek architecture, and yes, Greek philosophy and idolatry had spread far and wide, even to the Holy Land, which was then ruled by the Seleucids, a faction of Greeks stationed in Syria and led by the cruel king Antiochus IV. The Greeks placed an idol in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. Jews were forced to eat pork, and Shabbat, Jewish holidays, and circumcision were all outlawed. Their unwavering commitment to God's Torah drove the Greeks crazy. Why can't these people just become Greek like us and everyone else under our control? In the village of Modi'in, the Greek troops built an altar in the town square, and a Hellenist Jew, that's a Jew following Greek culture, was about to sacrifice a pig to the Greek gods upon it, when an elderly priest named Matityahu could not stand idly by the public desecration and slew him. Matityahu, his 5 sons, and other loyal Jews fled to a mountain hideout to stage guerrilla attacks and prepare for the all-out war they knew was inevitable. Before his passing, old Matityahu encouraged his followers to continue the fight, following his son, Judah the Maccabee, into battle. That's right, Judah the Maccabee, the original superhero. Judah and his warriors were outnumbered, outweaponed, and helplessly undertrained, while the Greeks even had war elephants, the tanks of the ancient world. But the Maccabees were brave, knew the local terrain, and most importantly, had boundless faith in God. And ultimately, they miraculously won over the Greeks. Upon liberating Jerusalem, they found the temple defiled and converted into a house of pagan worship. They wanted to relight the temple menorah, the 7-branched candelabra that was to be lit every day as a sign of God's continued presence among us. But there was a problem. In the words of the Talmud, they searched and found only 1 jar of oil that was intact with the seal of the high priest, and there was just enough oil to burn for 1 day. A miracle occurred, and they lit the menorah from it for 8 days. And so the mighty fell into the hands of the weak, the many into the hands of the few. God made a miracle to show how he cherishes our faith and dedication, especially when the odds are stacked against us. And the Jews could once again study Torah and keep the mitzvahs. We celebrate this every year, starting on the 25th of Kislev. We fry up some latkes, donuts, spin the dreidel, and most importantly, sing praises to God and light our menorahs every evening, bringing bright points of light into the dark and gloomy nights. Happy Sunday.
All right. So that is the short version of the Hanukkah story. And oh, hold on one moment. There we go. That's the short version of the Hanukkah story. So I'm sure for many of you that was a refresher, but I think it's always nice to recite the story. Just curiosity, has everyone done the candle lighting already? No? Okay, some people waited. Fantastic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do a share screen in a moment with the prayers. I'm sure everyone knows it by heart, but just in case anyone needs a refresher. Yes, Mia. And I'm going to actually light with my little one as well. Hold on one moment. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu b'havipnei Hanukkah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavotenu bayomim hahem b'zman hazeh. All right.
A rich cultural history, that's my heritage. Well, Full disclosure, in my house, practice wasn't all the rage, but still enough would trickle down and reach my youthful ear. Unfortunately, what these things meant was never made quite clear. I'll give you an example. Back when I was small, we had to book a plumber to make a house call. My mom, I guess anticipating how the bill would go, spent the day saying to no one, "When's the ganef gonna show?" We all know that ganef is Yiddish for a thief, right? See, I didn't know this. Okay. I didn't know the word, and so that I would not look dumber, I figured ganef simply was another word for plumber. The guy showed up, I reached the door, invited him inside, and helpful, loud and proud, "Mom, the ganef's here," I cried. I was 5, okay? I think he chose to take it not as on-the-job harassment, and Mom, she didn't blame me later on for her embarrassment. A simple way for her to skip unnecessary stressing would have been to have included a little vocabulary lesson. Parents, your children are paying attention and listening even if you don't think they are. Teach them your customs, traditions, and history. They'll grow and be grateful, and they will go far. But trust when I tell you we need explanations and possibly origin stories as well. Otherwise, customs accidentally bring comedy along with traditional tales you tell. I get it, if you simplify your Seder, that's all right. An English ritual makes for an abbreviated night. And when it comes to treats, the children have to go and find. Change the afikomen to aficandy. I'm sure the kids won't mind. We looked for candy bars instead of matcha. It was years before I knew that that wasn't common. Speaking of Passover, when I was very young, we'd celebrate with my cousins. Food was eaten, songs were sung, and then they pour the glass of wine, I'm sure you know this bit, and say, "It's for Elijah," but further details they'd omit. Later in the evening, I would find it rather odd that around the wine glass would be sniffing no one but their weird cat. It liked Manischewitz grape juice, I guess, go figure. Since no one had said otherwise, I thought that it was caring. The humans choosing with their pets the wine they should be sharing. I thought it was friendly. Although it did strike me as strange, not keeping with the game, since I was pretty sure Elijah wasn't their cat's name. Imagine my surprise in later years to be discovering that Jews all over the world would put out wine for the cat of my cousin. Parents, your kiddos are listening closely, oftentimes way more than we let on. Look at it this way, we'll all have some humor and stories to share when we're grown up and gone. But trauma is often result of traditions that, while observed, often are left unexplained. If you provide meaning along with mythology, then trust me, you'll be doubly entertained. Trust me, you'll be doubly entertained. Every word of that is true. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Kat, for playing that song for us. I love that song because while it certainly is unorthodox, sorry, I had to put the joke in there.
Right.
But why I like that song so much is the message of teaching traditions and values so that your children and other generations will continue these wonderful things that we treasure. So obviously I have my little one here, but you know, it's one of those things that I think we've all been there where, you know, our children or someone asks a question and we don't give them a full answer, and then it creates comedy and confusion and things that later on we have to try and deal with. So I think it's a very relatable song. So before we talk a little about the dreidel, I just wanted to mention that I know Hanukkah this year is obviously quite different from our normal years. Obviously, we're doing the best we can under the circumstance, but one of the reasons I like Hanukkah so much is, for me, it focuses on the idea of little miracles. Because if you really think about it, in the Torah, you know, we hear stories of, you know, parting of the seas and, you know, surviving floods and all these amazing miracles. And then we celebrate this miracle of oil lasting a couple of days. It doesn't sound quite as dramatic as the others, but what's nice about it is, you know, thinking about the little miracles we deal with and have every day, whether it's waking up in the morning, whether it's sharing a good cup of tea, whether it's enjoying a program, whether it's hearing Kat's music and being in a wonderful program with all of you. So, you know, I think it's important to appreciate the little miracles. And I think Hanukkah is a wonderful time of year where you can truly recognize it. So with that all being said, I just wanted to briefly talk a little bit about dreidels. Everyone knows this symbol, and today it was very funny. At work, I got to explain to a number of children in our program what is a dreidel and how does it work. So, yes, Mia, I know you're tired. So, sorry, my little one's staying up a little bit. So, what I'm going to do very briefly is I'm going to share this with you. Okay, let me just make sure. Can everyone see dreidel rules? Perfect. So I want to just quickly go over these. I know a lot of people know how to play dreidel, but I also know there's a lot of people who say they know how to play dreidel, but aren't entirely sure how to play dreidel. So I just wanted to quickly go over for anyone who's curious. So each player gets an equal amount of gelt, money, candy, nuts. Each player puts one piece in the pot. The first player spins the dreidel and follows the instructions for whichever letter is on top once the dreidel stops spinning. So you have Shin to add 1 to the pot. You have Hey to take half, Gimel to take all, and Nun to take nothing. And this was actually one of the first ways I learned Hebrew, was through the game of dreidel. So I think it's very educational. After a player wins, the pots start again from step 1, and you play until one player wins all the gelt, money, candy, or nuts. So one thing I also like about the dreidel story is, and I don't know if it's 100% true, but I like the story behind it, is the idea that when the Greeks were trying to catch the Jewish people studying Torah, that they would take the dreidel and take money and gelt and put it on the table and pretend they were playing dreidel instead of studying Torah and doing those things. Now, they show that in the Rugrats Hanukkah special, if anyone's ever watched it. So there are some precedents of showing it, but you know, I think it's just a fun, cute game for people to enjoy. So before we close out this evening, because I did want to keep the program fairly short, I wanted to thank the JCC of Northern New Jersey for having us this evening. I want to thank each and every one of you for making the time to watch this program. Hopefully this wasn't too repetitive to the other nights, and hopefully it was very interesting. And if it was bad, just blame me. So, you know, just find the guy with the Stars of David all around his clothing. So, but I want to thank you all for taking the time. I hope each and every one of you has a wonderful Hanukkah, stays safe, stays healthy, and just a wonderful Happy New Year, of course. So I would like to ask my friend Kat to close us out with the dreidel song, unless, of course, any of the other people from JCC of Northern New Jersey want to chime in before we close out tonight.
Just want to thank you for a wonderful program, and Kat, your music is spot on. It's hysterical. We're going to thank everyone for coming and for sharing in this and joining us. Remember, we have one more night to go. The siyum, the summation of everything tomorrow night, the lightest of these days of darkness. I want you all to come and share with us. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
Happy Hanukkah, everyone. Stay warm.
Happy Hanukkah.
So Kat, if you'll close us out with dreidel, and then
Let's sing along, I hope.
please.
I'll do this one my own self. Ready? I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay, and when it's dry and ready, with dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Dreidel, 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 with dreidel I shall play. Excellent. It has a lovely body with legs so short and thin, and when it gets all tired, it drops and then I win. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Dreidel, 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 with dreidel I shall play. My dreidel is so playful, it loves to dance and spin. A happy game of dreidel, come play now, let's begin. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. Dreidel, 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 with dreidel I shall play. Okay, last verse, same as the first. Everybody sing along if you weren't already. I have a little dreidel, I made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, with dreidel I shall play. Oh, dreidel, 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 I made it out of clay. When it's dry and ready, with dreidel I shall play.
Thank you so much.